and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a knitty, yarny podcast from the southwest of France. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this new episode. I hope you're all doing very well. I am, although these are the first words I have said today and it looked like my throat didn't want to. So I hope I'm not getting sick again, but I do feel some slight pain coming. So if my voice is a little bit up and down, I do apologize. But yes, thank you. Welcome back to any returning viewers and welcome to new viewers. If you are already following me, you may have noticed that I have shifted a little bit the schedule of the podcast. There was no episode last week, simply because I thought it would be better if I just waited a couple of days, because I had some upcoming projects to share with you. And yeah, basically if I filmed last week, I would have had not much to say, and 2 days after I would have had many more things to say. So following up last week's discussion on reducing my whip count and trying to focus more on less projects, I've decided that I will not consider that I have to podcast weekly if I don't think that the episode will have enough interesting content for you. So let's just say that I will podcast regularly, but yes, just only when I do have things to say. And I do have things to say this week. I have a couple, actually three finished objects, including a sweater. I have a pattern release that I will talk about in just a minute, and I also have some significant progress on new knitting projects. So yes, you can find timestamps to all the different sections of the podcast in the description down below. So if you want to skip anything, feel free to jump ahead. I will also put links to everything that I talk about, my social media, my patterns for sale on Ravelry and making things as well. I am Yarnflakes pretty much everywhere. We have just reached 4,000 followers on Instagram. Subscribers, yeah, the term in French is subscribers for Instagram as well, so getting messy a little bit. But yeah, 4,000 followers on Instagram. And so thank you so much. Yeah, that is a number, and I am very happy that we reached it and that you guys like my feed. So we're also having more and more people here on YouTube, which makes me super happy. I hope you enjoy the podcast, and yes, I wish to do more videos and more different things here on YouTube. So yeah, it is nice to see that you guys are enjoying it. So yes, I don't know why I was talking about this, but I was. So I will just start with what I'm wearing quickly. I'm wearing my Roture sweater, which is a pattern from Fiber Tales that I knitted out of Filcolana, Gotlandsk, Pelsuld, and Tukuwool Fingering for the contrast color of the yoke. It is DK weight sweater with this little bump here, with a brioche yoke and a little bit of colorwork and linen stitch details, and I really like it. It is super comfortable. The yarn is really nice and soft and warm, but it's still fresh and light too. It feels light on me, so I am really enjoying it now that the weather is semi-cold. It's like still above 10 degrees Celsius, so it's not that cold, but cold enough that I can have an excuse to wear my sweaters. So yes, I have a new pattern to announce, and it is something that you have seen already. It is the Prisos hat. Yes, it now has a name. So I have just published this little hat on Ravelry. It is a DK/worsted colorwork hat featuring this motif. And yeah, it is really easy to do. There's no floats to catch. You can adjust size with gauge. As written, the pattern should fit like small to medium adult head sizes. If you happen to have a larger head size, I do put notes on how to calculate the gauge, just so that you have the measurements that you need. And the height is also adjustable, because you can choose to remove some of the little colorwork bits if you want to. So yeah, it's basically a really quick colorwork project to make for gifts. This is a gift from my boyfriend Marius that I will give to him for Christmas. And so yeah, I made it in a day. And my testers were really quick as well. Some of them even made 2. They all made beautiful versions as always. So if you are curious and want to check out different color combinations, do have a look on Ravelry for their projects. Yeah, the link to the pattern is in my is in the description of the video down below. And yeah, Prisos, how am I saying it like this? Prisos. My boyfriend was designated to find a name for this because it's his hat, and so he chose the word Prisos, which in Romanian means, it's kind of hard to say, Prisos. I don't know how I'm supposed to say it. It means something precious, but not so much in the yeah, it means precious, but in a more poetic kind of manner. So yeah, and if you want, you can use a coupon code for it until Sunday, the code Prisos. It will give you 15% off the pattern. So yeah, I hope you like it. You had seen it before, so that's why I'm not spending too much time on it. If you're interested, the link to it and all the details are in the description. So yeah, new pattern. This is kind of little Christmas pattern release. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I will jump right in with some finished objects, and the first one is I finished the weekender sweater that I was knitting for my mom's birthday, so I am on time. I am even in advance. Yeah, like I have time. I was knitting this for her birthday, which is in a couple of weeks, or next week maybe, but yeah, next week. But yeah, it is done. And if you have watched previous episodes, you might recall that I had some really big worries regarding the fit, but it's fine. I'm reassuring everyone, it's fine, it's going to fit just well. It fits, it's a little bit too oversized on me, which is normal because my mom is a size up than me, so on her it will fall just right. So the Weekender sweater is a pattern by Andrea Mari. And in case you have lived in a cave, it is a reverse stockinette worsted weight boxy sweater that you knit inside out with a slip stitch detail at the front, a slipped hem, drop shoulder sleeves, and a ribbed neckline. Now I ended up fussing a little bit with that neckline. So basically, and I believe I mentioned it last time, the neckline is a bit peculiar. You make something that kind of matches the tubular bind off that you're cast on, that you're supposed to do at the start of the sweater. I didn't because lazy. And basically you end up using Kitchener stitch. So you can see on the back neck, this is what I did. And I also did it on the front, but the neckline was too tight. And so I did try to do it again a couple of times, which was a bit fiddly because to set up that Kitchener you needed to have 2 rows where you slipped stitches, so it was a bit fiddly undoing the Kitchener stitch and doing it again, trying to make it looser, and it just didn't work. Basically it was way too tight. My head could go through, but it was not super comfortable, so I eventually decided to just give up and for the front bit do a normal bind off on a larger, what I mean by normal bind off is knit 2 and pass the second stitch over. That's what I did with a larger needle size, so that it would be firm enough to have a neat edge but still not tighten the neckline. And I kept the Kitchener stitch at the back because that way, since the back neckline is tighter, it kind of pulls up a little bit. So I thought that was a good idea. So yeah, it's just the front neckline that is not bound off as it should, but I don't think it's you really notice it now because you're looking at the 2 sides together, but when it's worn, obviously you don't see it and it doesn't bother me so much, and at least it's comfortable to wear. Yeah, I picked up for the sleeves and knitted the sleeves, and yeah, it is rather heavy. I knitted it out of Retrosaria Mungo, which is 50% wool, 50% cotton or recycled yarn from Portugal, and yeah, it's pretty heavy. It took ages to dry, I guess because of the cotton, but it is pretty comfortable to wear and I hope my mom will like it. I personally really love the color. It's this yeah, you have it here, true. It's this heathered blue, denim blue, that I really like. So it was not the most fun thing to knit. It was quite boring, to be honest, and yeah, when I reached the front neckline, it's just, yeah, I was done with it and I still had to do the sleeves. Yeah, it's a beautiful finished thing, but I think the yarn is not unpleasant to knit with. It's just not very elastic, and even though it doesn't have the roughness that some pure cotton can have, it's still it wasn't still going very smoothly. Also, I was using 5mm needles, which, yeah, maybe I'm not used to so much anymore. And so, yeah, it was a little bit troublesome to knit on. And yeah, I thought it would be much more pleasant than it actually was, because it was thick yarn and, you know, it was just tucking it in the round, but it's, no. I wasn't very happy knitting on it, and I'm very glad that it's done. Good thing is it didn't take that long actually. But yeah, it's funny how I know I can knit huge sweaters in stockinette if it's fingering or sport weights, but it's really odd that I had that issue with worsted weight gauge. But yeah, so I had thoughts of maybe making one for myself. I don't think I will, but yeah, I think my mom will enjoy it. It fits her style, so yeah, I am happy that it's done. I have a couple of other gifts that I have made, because now I am really dedicating myself to one design project during the day and one personal project at my off time. And so yeah, once I had finished the weekender, I was able to jump on my other Christmas gifts that I was knitting on, and I finished the socks I was knitting for my boyfriend. So these are the Little People socks, which is a sock pattern of mine. that have this texture, over texture. And yeah, you have seen them more than enough. But now the pair is done. And I did contrast heels and toes, as you could see. The main yarn is Lakeside Yarn's sock yarn in late summer. She is a German indie dyer. And the contrast skeins were leftovers from yarn by Simone, which is a French indie dyer, in toffee and only black. And yeah, these are really nice and comfy. I'm sure my boyfriend would love them because the yarn is so soft, and at the same time the texture makes this really cushy thing. So yeah, these are done. I'm really powering through my Christmas gifts, so I'm very happy with that. And as soon as I finished that, I did these. So I've already shown you some cotton washcloth that I did. These are some more, also for Christmas gift. And yeah, I used Berroco Linsey. It's some yarn I got from a past fiber share exchange. I think, yeah, it's a blend of cotton and linen, and I thought it would fit. I thought it would fit for washcloth. Washcloth, that's quite hard to say. So yeah, I did one in garter and one in sit stitch. I did try to make a denser gauge than the first washcloth I did, and I used a smaller needle, and yeah, I think it's slightly better. But yeah, these are Christmas gifts for someone who might be watching. So I think that is it. That is all I've been doing. I actually only have 3 Christmas gifts to do, and they're going to go really fast. You will see that I have advanced on one already. It's again some socks. It's going to be socks, vanilla socks at the moment, and I could really tell the difference between these, which were textured and on a bigger stitch count than what I usually do because they're from my boyfriend, and these that I knit this sock in a day basically. So I am knitting this for my mother. It's going to be her second pair of Christmas socks, and the yarn, I caked it and it lasted half the leg, and then it just went completely insane. So isn't that nice? That nice cake of yarn. This is Cosmic Streams yarn in the Ripple colorway, I believe, which is this mottled cream, brown, black and blues. It's making this sort of stripe effect, which I find is nice. And yeah, so it's a simple vanilla sock really. I did a 2x2 rib. I did a rather long cuff, felt like it. German short heel, and yeah, around the toe. It's actually the first socks I knit out of Cosmic Streams sock base, which I own a lot of, but I hadn't knit socks with it yet. And it's rather light fingering weight, and so yeah, it's not very plump, which I like because yeah, I just like sometimes to have teeny tiny cute stitches. And so what I did is that I wanted to keep my dense gauge that I usually have for socks. So the one I get on 2mm needles, it's about 9 stitches to the inch, so it's like 36 stitches in 4 inches / 10 centimeters. So I wanted to keep that gauge because I like that gauge for socks. So I cast on 64 stitches instead of 60, which I usually do, just because the yarn was finer, and I got something that fits really well. My mom and I are about the same foot fit size. So yes, 1 socks. I am going to make the second one, and yeah. I do have one last work in progress to share with you, which is a design, and you'll be very happy to see that I have things to show. It's my Rumi sweater. Thank you so much, by the way. I believe I forgot to mention it, but when I said that I had found a name for this sweater that you're going to see in a minute, yeah, Rumi is the word for stone in Quechua, and someone kindly told me that Rumi was also the name of a very famous Persian Iranian poet from the medieval age. And thank you, I will definitely have a look at his work, because even if it's not intended, if I'm going to have a design that bears the name of someone that is so big, I'm definitely going to check his work. I have saved a couple pages on the internet to have a look at. Yeah, it's a shame that really in, I guess, most of the Western world, we have very little knowledge of literature from the Middle East. And yeah, I've read a couple of novels from modern, contemporary Iranian authors, and I really enjoyed it. So I will make sure to have a look at Rumi's work. But as far as the Rumi sweater goes, it has 2 sleeves. So the sweater, if you don't remember, I am knitting it out of Brusca yarn, which is a yarn from Retrosaya, Portuguese wool, which is so nice. This is the color 5C. It's beautiful caramel golden shade, and it's going to be yoke sweater with cables and color work on the yoke. So I am knitting it bottom up because it was easier for me to design, and that way basically I can get rid of the simple stockinette part first, because I made the sleeves first, so bottom up, made them the length I estimate is right. By the way, you know, even if you knit a sleeve bottom up, you can adjust it later. Basically, you just pick up, like, say you wanted to, say I'm putting everything together, I'm trying it on, and I found out the sleeves are too short, which it shouldn't be. But if it is, I just pick up a line of stitches here, as I would if I am doing an afterthought heel, and I can cut the yarn and then unravel the yarn from there, because the only thing that you cannot really do is unravel a cast on. You can, but it's a little bit annoying and hard to do, so that's the only reason why you wouldn't easily modify the length of a bottom-up piece. But you just have to pick up stitches, cut a little bit, and then unravel from this side and keep knitting. You can even, if you want, just remove the cuff, knit a little bit more, and then reattach the cuff with Kitchener stitch, for example. But yeah, basically when you have stockinette that goes in 2 different directions, you can't see it. It's the same, basically. So you can absolutely modify the length of something, even if you knitted it bottom up. You just have to go around the cast on. That is not so easy to unravel. But yes, so I knitted the 2 sleeves, which are fitting a little bit like this, maybe a little bit tighter on the cuff. And then I started on the body, and the body is cabled. So it's really fun to do. It really makes it okay to do a bottom up for me, because the problem I have with bottom up sweaters is not so much the fit, because like I said, you have some wiggle room still, even if you're doing it bottom up. And if you have good enough indications of the measurements that you should reach, it's okay. But the thing is, starting with just stockinette sleeves and stockinette body, that's what I don't like. So when I have this, it's fine. So I am making the body with this cable sort of panels. So I did the rib, and as you can see, so I'm alternating two different types of cables basically. Well, one is not really a cable, but you can see these small lines. They're actually twisted stitches, just right twists, basically, really easy to do every other round. And then the main big cable is this, and I'm going to try and stretch it so you can see it, how it's going to look when it's blocked. And there it is. So it's a big 8-stitch cable. Yeah, that is angling and with little knots. So I drew that cable. Well, it's not really innovative cable at all. But I drew it myself because I wanted it to be on 8 stitches, and I wanted to find the exact balance that I wanted, because I wanted it to be quite plump and bulky, but at the same time I wanted this to look nice, because if the two crosses here were too close to one another, it would have been really crunched up and looked not so nice. So I tried to find a balance, and I like how it is right now. So yeah, you have cables on the front and on the back, and I have made basically a pearl panel to the sides. So you can see this is the side of the sweater, and you have front and back. This will be different for the different sizes. This will be smaller or bigger. But the reason I didn't make it an all-over pattern is because I really wanted it to look like panels, if you know. So you'd have the front panel and the back panel, and I thought that if it was all over around the side as well, with the sleeves and the big colorwork motifs that I'm going to put later, I feared it would be too busy. And so yeah, that's why I kept that edge, that smooth edge here. And like I said, it should be smaller or bigger depending on the sizes, but that means that at least between the different sizes it's not going to look that different, and it's still going to be hopefully panels and panels of these cables. So yes, this is what I've been working on. I am going to make the body a little bit longer, probably at least one more cable repeat here. It's a 22 row repeat. It's pretty mindless at this point. Yeah, I just need to reach the length that I want. I measured with my gauge approximately what my colorwork yoke is going to look like, and yeah, I can't wait to get into it. But I'm really liking these cables. These are really fun to do. I want to put these twisted stitches everywhere. They're really fun, and I like the effect, the ropey effect that they give. So yeah, the Rumi sweater has its cables, and yeah, 4mm needles. I'm getting a dense fabric that is really nice. You can see it in the reverse stockinette, that it's really nice fabric. It's still going to, it stays firm, but when blocked it's going to not be too rigid. So yeah, I am enjoying working on it, and I can't wait to show you more. Hopefully before the end of the year I will have reached the colorwork part. Cross fingers. But yeah, this is advancing well. I am really happy that I am focusing on this one design at the moment. Yeah, I think it's better for me to work that way whenever I can. So yes, I think that's it for the knitting progress that I can show you. So I believe I have talked about everything that I had to share for this episode. Yeah, I will for sure be filming another, if not 2 other episodes before a little holiday break. But for now, I hope you enjoyed the projects and that you have a lovely start of December. And yes, enjoy the season, and I will see you next time. Bye!